warmly welcomed by members of the Indian community upon his arrival in Amsterdam. The interaction highlights strong people-to-people ties between India and the Netherlands as the Prime Minister begins his official engagements. All right. Let me in fact rope in Yash Ahuja again on this development. Yash, obviously we are getting those visuals as well. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been welcomed very warmly by the Indian community over there in Amsterdam.
Yes, Shivani, beautiful visuals on our screens. Members of the Indian diaspora gathered outside the hotel where Prime Minister is staying currently, with performers presenting cultural programs including Garba to welcome him. You know, performers described it as a surreal experience. They interacted with him. They were really happy. They described the atmosphere as quote-unquote amazing, and they also really wanted to meet the Prime Minister. And this is the case in every country that he goes to. In UAE, in the Netherlands, we saw this same arousing welcome. In Israel, we saw the same arousing welcome. In France, in Germany, we've seen this. We've seen Indian diaspora very heartfully welcoming Prime Minister to foreign nations multiple times during all his visits. Back to you.
Right. Let me also rope in my colleague Aditya Vadhavan, who's joining us live on the broadcast. And he will give us some more details regarding this. Aditya, we're getting those visuals on our screens, very heartwarming, very warm, that welcome that has been accorded to our Prime Minister by the Indian diaspora over there in Netherlands. And we can look at the amount of energy in the room, the amount of happiness that is there, the smiles on everyone's faces as they greet the Prime Minister.
Well, definitely, Shivani. It has now become a norm where, whenever Prime Minister travels to whichever foreign country, he is warmly greeted by the president of that particular country. And, a lot of Indian diaspora people from the Indian origin are there in several countries. And, they all enthusiastically, welcome Prime Minister whenever he travels to a particular country. And now today also, if you see the itinerary of Prime Minister Modi, he is scheduled at about 10 a.m. local time in Netherlands. He is scheduled to address the Indian diaspora in Hague. So definitely, from 10 to 11, he will be addressing the diaspora. There's a diaspora event where he will be addressing the diaspora, Indian diaspora community, and several other bilateral engagements, diplomatic engagements are lined up, as per the itinerary of Prime Minister's itinerary of Netherlands. So definitely, we could see some bilateral agreements also signed between India and the Netherlands, and definitely it's a win-win situation because Netherlands is a very important country of the European Union, and recently we have seen how India and the EU have inked an free trade agreement. So definitely, amid this global uncertainties by the changing global order, there are lots of positive takeaways that we can expect in the times to come. Shivani.
Absolutely, Aditya. I request you to please stay on with us. We have some more inputs on this, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who arrived in The Hague in Netherlands as part of his second leg of his five-nation tour. On arrival at the hotel, he witnessed a spiritual performance presented to welcome him. The visit marks an important stop in his ongoing diplomatic tour aimed at strengthening India's global partnerships. So Aditya, obviously, like you have been pointing out, there was a spiritual performance also that welcomed the Prime Minister. But what's of significance is that he is doing this tour. There are a lot of sectors that are on the table for discussions. We're talking about clean energy, which is the need of the hour. We're also looking at semiconductors, which will help in AI, in chip making, and this is something that India will look forward to, making deals on, Aditya.
Well, definitely, as you mentioned, the several domains will be clearly there will be several agreements that will be inked, as far as the semiconductor and green energy is concerned. And definitely, there's a lot of positive takeaways, because the diplomatic relations between India and Netherlands have been excellent in the recent years. And now, Also now, since PM is on a second leg of tour during his 5 nations tour, definitely it's a lot to expect, and we could see some major breakthrough regarding this. Shivani.
Right, Aditya, I'll request you to please stay on with us. We are tracking some other news on this broadcast. Let's in fact get that breaking news that's coming in.